Melbourne High was the selective school for brains which first fuelled young Gareth Evans' natural abilities. It's the Eton for boys who don't have classy backgrounds. Its motto could have been written for him. Evans did honour work, and it has honoured him. Outstanding scores in all his subjects. He was Dux, prefect and school captain. With 2 final year exhibitions, Gareth topped the state in history. Yet his parents never thought he'd stay on at school.
The assumption was that he would leave school at the end of Year 10, Form 4, and then when he turned around and topped the 300 students doing Leaving Certificate, now Year 11, well then naturally the parents accepted, under strong pressure from the school as well, that he'd come back and do matriculation, and I think it was just a process of making an annual adjustment as he proceeded.
I actually like him and admire him a lot more now than I did at school, because it's hard for kids that are rivals to admire and to like each other. But he was very talented and had a tremendous energy. And I suppose the thing I remember most is his verbal facility. He was very verbally clever and, from my point of view, occasionally very verbally cruel.
Well, he's a volatile boy, Gary. He really, I think if anybody's ever going to criticise him of anything, it would be an intolerance of fools. But I noticed that, just with Gary, that if I'd ask him a question that he thought was stupid, you know, or uninformed or whatever, he'd blow up, you know, and he'd throw some books and say, you know, just don't you understand? Can't you see this here, you know? And I just look at him blankly.
At the same time, Prime Minister Menzies was riding high over a demoralised and split ALP. Young Gareth Evans straddled 2 worlds as he travelled from home to school each day.
My father was a tramway worker. My mother ran a small business from home, was during the wartime years actually a manager of Woolworths stores. It was a very interesting home environment, but it wasn't a university oriented. It wasn't an academic environment in any sense or shape at all, but it was an environment that did give me a strong sense of Labor Party, working class, ordinary people values, if you like, and an outlook on the world in that sense, which has remained with me ever since. I've certainly not forgotten those roots.
Was Gareth a harkening back to Welsh ancestry?
No, there's a story about my name which I suppose has to be told sooner or later. The truth of the matter is that my mother, like so many other people at that time, had a certain affection for Gary Cooper, the film star, and I was named after Gary Cooper. Somebody told her that Gareth was a sort of slightly posher version of Gary that might serve me better in adulthood, so Gareth it became.
I know a lot of you are saying, what can I do? I'm just a little punk. I don't count. Well, you're dead wrong. The little punks have always counted because...
Gary Cooper played the politician who struck at people's heartstrings and inspired them.
We need money from the government, this is obvious. If there's no money...
But Gary Evans, student politician, appealed to people's minds.
The physical conditions in the place finally got beyond our tolerance level. A certain amount of irresponsibility among university students is presumed on this alcohol question, which is not, I think, quite warranted.
These were days of duffel coats and desert boots, student activism on the brink of the radicalising politics of Vietnam.
Well, I'm just off to a tutorial in a staff tea room because it's the only room we've got now.
Gary was always sort of a young bloke in a hurry. He knew what he wanted. He had great capacity for work. He had a good mind. He was impatient with fools, which I don't think has suffered, which hasn't changed over the years.
What do we expect to gain by it? Oh, very simply to sort of keep on prodding the public.
He was a young man who was a reformer by his natural inclination, interested in civil liberties.
Pete Steedman moved Gareth Evans in national student politics.
I don't know, it's so long ago.
Evans got him to edit Melbourne University's paper, Farrago.
Gary, well, he's in there in the middle there. Gary and Merrin Anderson, as she was then, who was my advertising manager, who is now Dr. Merrin Evans, of course. There's a lot of other people there that end up in places. Yes, that's me. Rather cute then. They all appeared. Yes, that was a friend of mine. He could be as legless as the next person at any party, and if you're saying that he had a social life, yes, to my knowledge, he had rather a broad and diverse social life.
Broad and diverse?
Well, in those days, things were broader and more diverse. As you remember, that was just the start of the sexual revolution, and many people took advantage of it.
Still others come to further their career, to